What if I told you that the only thing between you and the life of your dreams was your mindset? I'm going to share with you powerful tips today that can dramatically change the way you think, you feel, you act, and the results that you get. Now, watch this video all the way through because I'm going to share a tip with you at the very end that's going to dramatically change how you see everything and the results you get. So let's jump right in. Now, here's your first tip, and it is huge. It is dramatic. It is life-changing. It's the core of all mindset development, and I don't know why more people don't teach this. Change who you are. Your identity, the story you tell you, about who you are, that's what's going to change everything. How do I stay in shape? Well, when I was a kid, I took a bunch of martial arts classes. I got my black belt. That's who I was. That was my identity in high school. Great. What goes along with that? Serenity, thoughtfulness, meditation, health. I wanted to look like Jackie Chan or Bruce Lee. I didn't want to look like Steven Seagal with a big beer belly in front of me. That wasn't a real martial artist. Real martial artists look like Bruce Lee or Chuck Norris. They stayed in shape. So I always have to stay in decent shape. Why? Because otherwise I can't see myself as a martial artist and my whole identity, who I am, is instantly destroyed. That's like getting yourself to go for a run. If you say, geez, I should go for a run, or I better go for a run, or I ought to go for a run, or be letting myself down if I don't go for a run, don't do that. Don't try to force yourself to go for a run. Say, I'm a runner. And do you know what runners do? Wow, you got it. They run. They run and they run and they run. It's of course I'm going to go. I'm a runner. I run every single day. It's part of who I am. I wouldn't not do it. I don't think about not doing it because I'm a runner. It's who I am. So, identity change first. Interesting piece of psychology. You are not free. Hello, you are not free to be anything except what you think you are. So start getting this mindset of almost like an avatar. Become this avatar of who you want to be. Get clear in your mind who you want to be. See yourself as that person, and then do everything that that person would do. If you say, I'm a runner, get out there and run every day. And what do you tell yourself while you're running? I'm a runner, I'm a runner, I'm a runner, I'm a runner. How do I know this? Because I'm saying it over and over again, and I'm also running. These are early clues you might be a runner. Then start thinking about running, talking about running. Make it part of your story. Start reading up on running. Start researching running. Start talking about running to everybody that'll listen to you and a few people that won't. So, get that identity first, ingrained inside yourself, and then the actions will naturally flow from that. You won't need a lot of motivation. People have to try to stop you from running or, whatever your goal is. This is the action part of how you move towards your goal. Remember, there's an old Zen expression that says people are always perfectly being exactly who they are. Your story of who you are, your identity, will drive all your actions. You want to get wealthier? Picture yourself as wealthy. And you say, Paul, I'm dead broke. I don't have 2 nickels to rub together to keep me warm in the winter. How can I see myself as wealthy? No. This is the beginning of the Rocky story. You start at the bottom and you work your way to the top. I want you to see your future self at the top and then take every step necessary to get there. See, losers say, oh, geez, I hope I make it. I'll try to make it, I'll give it my best shot. Winners say, I'm absolutely, positively going to make it. I can remember this happened to me when I was going for my first college degree. And I said to my buddy Nick, I'm like, I got to sign the dotted line for all these loans, and I got to sign up at the college and the university and promise everybody I'm going to do 4 years. I said, geez, how do I know that I can make it through 4 years? And Nick looked me dead in the eye, and he said, it's really, really simple, Paul. You are completely and utterly screwed. The minute you sign that, you're right. You got to go for 4 years. You promised everybody, and you got to pay off these loans. If you screw up, your life is over. Good, because you need that kind of dedication to drive you through 4 years of college. These are not easy years. You're going to be working full-time, part-time, cheating in master's courses. You are going to be working and sweating and, bleeding for your education. Every minute of every day is going to all be about making money and getting to school, making money and getting to school, lather, rinse, and repeat, and do it again. And you do not stop for 4 years. So, either sign it and do the 4 years or don't sign it and get the hell out. Either way, you're fine. But once you sign it, that's it. I'm a college student and I'm a college graduate. I do everything that gets me there. And all I got to do, if you break it down and look at it, is don't focus on the goal, focus on the process. I just have to do one day, and eventually 4 years later, because you just looked at the pictures and turned the pages, you occasionally typed a page or two of a paper, read a little bit of stuff, listened up in class, don't fall asleep, don't play with your phone, don't be doodling in your notebook, just pay attention. 4 years will go by and you will arrive and they will call you a graduate. Every day as I'm reading my books, I actually put $1 in there because one of the reasons I went to college is I wanted to make money. Originally, I was in business. So I said, okay, if you're going to make a bunch of money in business, you're literally going to be what? Chasing the dollar. So I would put the dollar just a few pages ahead. I don't want to strain myself too much. I put it 2 or 3 pages ahead and I'd read to where the dollar was. And I'd say, oh, look, I made $1. I got $1. This is why I'm doing it, for the American dollar. And I'd say, hey, do you want to make even more money? Yes. The answer was always yes. So I would put the dollar ahead because I knew for every page I wrote, every page that I read, I could literally put $1 amount to that. Because if you look at your education, what do? You read a bunch of books and you write a bunch of papers. So every time you write a page, that's worth money, future money from the degree. And every time you read a page, that's worth money. So I saw reading books and making money. That was my mindset. They were all about making money. Every time I read a page or wrote a page, I was making money. New mindset, new identity. I am a college student. People say, what do? I work my butt off and I go to college. I'm focusing on becoming a college graduate. And I was thinking another degree and another degree ahead. I saw myself as maybe doing long-term learning. And of course, now you can see the library behind me. I pretty much do lifetime learning. Why? Because it's effortless now. When I was in high school and I'm like, oh my gosh, the teacher's so boring. I'm watching the pretty girls go by. I'm laughing with my buddy. We're slapping each other on the back. We're, throwing stuff at the teacher behind their back. We're just trying to get through that stinking class. That was my identity, that, high school was just something you get through. It was a joke and you just wanted to have fun and you couldn't wait to get out of class. That was my identity. So that's how I treated it. But when I got on college and I was spending my time and my money and the rest of my life depended on it, the mindset changed. And therefore, every action flowed from that. It was true in high school and it was true in college. Mindset isn't something, it's everything. One of the other major mindset shifts is how to reframe. Reframing is doing what? You take an old picture and you put it in a new frame. If you take a nice picture and you put it in a crappy, dingy, rotten piece of wood, where it looks like it's fallen off the picture, a great picture looks like crap. But you can take even an average picture, something that, people just slapped a bunch of color on paper and they put it in a beautiful frame. It looks like an amazing work of art. Why? Because the frame, what surrounds it, is better. So reframing is taking the exact same thing that's going on in your life and saying it a slightly different way. Reframe is when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. Now, I usually take and make margaritas, but you can make lemonade if you want. Mine's more fun. Join me. These are reframes. I saw a funny reframe on Facebook. When life gives you lemons, take them, put them in the freezer, and then throw them at your enemies. Another fun use for lemons. These are all reframes. The reframe that I like is, instead of saying I have to, say I get to. Stop saying I have to go to work. No, I get to go to work. I've been through, I'm 61 years old. I've been through a lot of economies where people would have loved to have the opportunity to get to go to work. They wouldn't be sitting there, oh, shoot, I got to go to work. They'd be like, shut up. I don't have a job. I don't have a job. I can't feed my family. It's embarrassing when I hear you sitting there telling me, I got to go to work. I'm broke. I don't have a job. I don't know if I can make rent. You are so lucky. I would kill, maybe kill you to be able to have this job that you complain about. So complaining about something is a lack of gratitude. Saying I have to is a lack of gratitude, and that makes you feel terrible and your mood goes down. Saying I get to means gratitude and opportunity, and then you feel good about it. So it's not I have to go to the gym. I get to go to the gym. I get to be around my friends. I get to get fit. I have the opportunity to do this. There's some people that, were in wheelchairs and they don't get to go to the gym, where they can only use half the machines now, right? You get to. That's a good reframe. There's always a better way to look at something. There's positive ways to look at things and there's negative ways to look at things. These are simple reframes because if you have an optimist over here and a pessimist over here, they can both look at the exact same thing. So the reality of the thing doesn't change. It's the frame they put around it. The pessimist will always figure out what is wrong with everything. And the optimist, no matter how bad things are, they'll find out what's right with it. So guess which one you need to be? An optimist thinks he's being realistic, but really what they're doing is they're working against themselves at a high rate of speed and punishing themselves for being alive. And an optimist, they're not, rose-colored glasses. They don't believe every single thing that comes out of their mouth. They say, oh, this won't be bad, but they know it's going to be pretty bad. But at least have a positive attitude while you go through it, and it won't be so bad. That's an optimist. Optimists are not naive. The pessimist says that so they can keep being negative as if that's a great way to live your life. This is somebody that doesn't want the horrible pain of living. So what they do is they become a pessimist. So when things are like this, they can say it's like this. And if it goes up to here, they get nervous that life's going to get too good and they start knocking it back down. This is their comfort zone in here. The optimist says, I'm going to be here and I'm going to go above. And it's going to be great. And that's where they live. And even if they get down below, they remember above and they simply say, I'll be there in time. What comes after bad times? Good times. It's like the stock market. People say, oh my God, the stock market's going down, 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 down. You know what I tell them? What comes after down? Up? Yes, up. But don't get too excited. What comes after up? Down. So, don't worry about the ups and the downs of the stock market. Worry about the trend. Over time with these ups and downs, is it trending up or trending down? Over time, the stock market always does what? It turns back around and it always goes up. So don't worry about the ups and the downs. When it's up, say, great, my net worth is going up, fantastic. When it goes down, you say, great, wonderful opportunity to buy stocks on the cheap. Be an optimist in every direction. That's a great way to live. And you can use this in every single area of your life. And you should. Remember, what you tell yourself about what's happening is going to determine how you see it, how you feel about it, and the actions you're willing to take. It's either going to motivate you or demotivate you. Remember, make sure you're not screwing you. You always need to work for you. That's why optimism is the only way to really live your life. Pessimists, they always lose. And boy, if they won, they still couldn't enjoy it. Replace the negative mindset of why me with what's next. Hey, I've had a lot of hard times in my life. Man, I've had a couple of 2x4s upside my head when life really just stabbed me in the back and then beat me over the head. I've had some bad times. We just finished talking about the ups and downs. That's okay. There's some down times. You know what I call it? I call it a bad beat. Well, that was a bad beat. What do I know? I had a bad day. Maybe I had a bad week, a month, or year, but it doesn't last very long. They say, tough times don't last. Tough people do. Another great phrase, right? Start collecting these phrases and keep them in mind and start using them. Neurolinguistic programming tells us that the phrases that we use determines how we think, how we feel, the results we get, and it motivates us or demotivates us. So always be thinking, what's next? Get excited about the future. I actually like people for two reasons. One, who you are and what you've survived. So as you go through these bad times, that's you surviving things. These are the stories you're going to tell your kids. You know, when I was a kid, it wasn't like today, it was uphill to school both ways, and it was 10 feet of snow, and we got up 2 hours before we went to bed and went to work. You kids don't even know how hard it was, and when I got done with my day job, then I had to go work on the farm, and then, I did stuff by candlelight, and I got 2 hours sleep, and then I got up the next day and I did it 7 days a week. You kids are living in luxury. Well, that's good. Change it into a future story. When me and my buddy Nick were having bad times, we would literally just kid each other back and forth about it. And we would say, hey, you know what? Someday in the near future, we're going to be look back on this stuff and we're going to laugh about it. So why not start now? And we used to almost compete for who had it worse. You had 2 bad days. I had 3 bad days. You lost your girlfriend. I lost 2 girlfriends. How did I lose 2 girlfriends? I don't know. But I did it. I pulled it off. You got fired from 1 job. I got fired from 3 jobs. You had 5 nasty customers. I had 20. It didn't matter. It became a competition to see who was having it worse. But we were laughing about it and we made light of it because you know what? Your problems are temporary and they disappear. My wife just retired a couple of weeks ago. Every single day, I think for the last 30 years since I've known her, she would come home from work and she would complain about her day. Now, she never talks about work anymore. And I had told her this for the last year because I said, you're going to retire soon. Why don't you give up on complaining about people at work now? Because in a year, they're going to disappear. And I guarantee you, you're going to be out of work for about 3 days. You're going to be retired about 3 days. And then you're never going to care about these people ever again. Why don't you start now? I'll tell you, by the time I hit about 30, I didn't care what anybody did at work because I knew what they were going to do. I knew they were going to be problematic. I didn't bring any of that stuff home with me. I said, hey, someday I'll be gone. They'll be gone. All I got to focus on is me, how I'm helping other people. Am I making money? Am I making the world a better place? These things were very, very important to me. Other people's drama? No. Why would I even talk about that stuff? Get out of the negative drama and stop saying, why me? And say, what's next? Get excited. Every time I have a problem, I feel good about 2 things. 1, I solved that problem. And 2, it taught me something that I can use in the future. And that's all that's ahead of me. Because the problem's behind me, there's nothing but good times in the future ahead of me. I know I'm going to hit other bumps and I'm going to say, what? Well, that was a bad beat. And then I'm going to get excited about what comes next. That's what I want for you. The next mindset tip, and gosh, I learned this back in my 20s, is there's no such thing as failure. There's just feedback. Constantly, the environment is giving you feedback. Hey, you're doing this right. You should probably do more of that. And this is kind of mediocre over here, but hey, this is pretty bad over here. You should probably do less of that. So, positive and negative feedback gets you going in the right direction. And you need both. I need to know when I'm doing the right thing and do more of that. And I also need to know when I'm doing the wrong thing and do less of that or eliminate entirely, right? These are the 2 things that propel me forward because the negative things that I need to do less of, that's like, a parking brake on a car. It really slows the car down. If I can just release that and get rid of that, then the car goes forward. It makes it go faster. See, people think the car only goes faster when you push on the gas. For most people to go faster, in this analogy, in their car, they don't need to push on the gas, which is do more positive things. They need to release their brakes. And this is what I found over and over and over again. People are like, Paul, what do I do to be successful? And give me all these tips on how I can, make money and feel better internally and, have better relationships and all this type of stuff. Probably 3/4 of what I have to tell them to do is to release the brakes. You need to stop doing this, 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 and this. The rest of what you're doing is actually pretty good. And if you weren't doing these 5 negative things that were holding you back, oh man, you'd be speeding ahead in your life. You'd be doing great things. Now, once you get rid of that, yeah, I'll give you some extra tips and tools that'll help to accelerate even further. But one of the first things you need to do is get rid of the negative. So, everything in life is feedback. You're learning lessons that you need to learn. Now remember, there's another old phrase. It simply states, lesson repeated until learned. If you don't learn, you're not willing to hear, you're not willing to see, you're not observing, you're not learning from and correcting the negative things that you're doing in life, it'll happen over and over and over again. Lesson repeated until learned. I used to call it Paul's 2x4 theory. People need X number of 2x4s upside the head. Now there's some people I can take a 2x4 and I can just hold it up and go, You see that something bad might happen. I might give you a good whack upside the head. You can see that if I do this, it's going to go wrong and I'm going to get the 2x4 upside the head. Some people at that point can immediately change their behavior. Other people, they see the 2x4, they know it's probably going to happen, but they think they're luckier it won't happen to them or they'll slip it somehow. And then, of course, I whack them upside the head with the 2x4, and they go, oh, yeah, darn it, I should have seen that coming. I should have gotten out of the way. I didn't really need to take that hit, and boy, that woke me up. That's it. I'm not going to do that negative thing anymore. No more 2x4s, please. I've had enough. Other people, I don't know. It's like an IQ test. How many times does life have to whack you upside the head and show you, doesn't work, dummy, doesn't work, dummy, stop doing that, dummy, not the right way, dummy, try something else, dummy, and has to keep hitting them with the 2x4s. That's another level of stupidity. And you can judge the stupidity by how many times they have to take a 2x4 upside the head. Then there's the true morons. These are the people that no matter how many times life tells them, hey, cut it out. You're not doing this right. Stop. Stop. They take 2x4 after 2x4 after 2x4 from the cradle to the grave, from the womb to the tomb. They do it their entire life and they never learn their lesson. Now, doing the same thing over and over again, okay, and getting the same result, that's the definition of insanity. So when you're the guy that has to have the 2x4 until you die, that's probably even a better definition of insanity. Don't be insane. Make that part of your personality that when I see the 2x4 coming, that should be enough to get out of the way. Hey, sometimes I need a little extra motivation. Go ahead and whack me once, twice, 3 times, but never more than 3 times do I have to have the same lesson before I take action. It'd be better if I did it when they warned me, right? That's what I want for you. Release the brakes and you will propel through life towards your goals and your success so much faster. Now, be very careful. When you want to set your mindset, it's all about inputs. What goes into your mind, your mental diet, the types of things that you feed yourself in your mind from the environment. Remember the old commercials and things like that? Oh, you are what you eat. God, I think that was from like the 70s or the 80s. But that expression is still out there today. You are what you eat. Whatever you eat, that becomes the building blocks of your body. Well, your mind works the same way. Whatever you take in, you become those things because those things become part of you and then they set what you become and what you are. Now, here's the problem. Most people watch crap, listen to crap, think crap, read crap, and they talk crap. And I'll tell you, if you do these things, if you keep taking in enough crap, eventually you're full of it. I say that humorously, but it's true. You're full of crap. Be very careful about what you put into your brain, just the way you're careful what you put in your body. Hopefully you're careful what you put in your body. I don't know, maybe not. I have to take a look. But be very careful. You don't want to be full of crap. I stopped listening to crap. I hardly watch the news. I watch, a little NPR. I Google a few things. I see a little bit of stuff on Yahoo. Why? Because most of what's out there is just distracting crap. And I don't want to be full of crap. I don't want to be full of negativity because that's what news is. I call it dramatized tragedy. I used to watch CNN. They'd play that thing on a loop until I realized it stood for constantly negative news. Now, I'm not picking on CNN because, hey, Fox isn't any better. It's all bad news out there. I don't care what channel you watch. It's all bad news. Wait for one positive thing on the news. You may wait days, months, or years to see something positive on the news where they're helping you out and this is great information you can use to change your life. You probably never see it. That's why you come to my channel. Get positive interventions that give you the tools, strategy, techniques you need to make your life better. This is positive food. This is health food for your brain. Every time you come into my channel, you're getting the best. Things that took me decades to learn, that I learned from the best. So always feed yourself a good, strong mental diet. Positive readings, positive trainings, stay around positive people, try to keep your thoughts positive, always focus on the positive, search the environment for the positive. Everything you can do to have a good, solid, clean, healthy mental diet. And taking those things that are from the areas that you want to excel in. Don't just be, overeducated idiot that studies everything. If you look through my bookshelf, you wouldn't find books on everything. You'd find basically what I teach here. The three main hubs of the wheel. Psychology, the checkup from the neck up. I can tell you if you can't control your mind, you're not going to control anything else. That's going to determine how your life goes. Then there's going to be some books on health. Because I'm too rich and good looking to die. And you have every emotion through your body, right? So you got to take really good care of it. There is no alternate body that you can jump into when you wear this one out. This is where you're going to spend the rest of your life, so take really good care of it. And then finally, I'm a little sexier when I got more money. I'm a little taller when I'm riding on my wallet. It's a little thicker. So I've got books on finance. So healthy, wealthy, wise. Those are the areas. If I get through every single decent book out there and every single decent training on health, wealth, and psychology that I could ever possibly need, want, or desire, then I'll start working on other, ancillary areas that might be of interest, that might be fun to learn, or may somehow benefit me. But until you've nailed those three areas, don't waste your time anyplace else. Neurolinguistic programming teaches us the power of words. See, your brain is a dumb goal-seeking mechanism. It does whatever you tell it to do. That's assuming you control your mind. But here's a great way to control your mind. Change the way you think about things. I want you to shift your mindset. So it's not, hey, I can't do this thing. It's, I can't do it yet. It's not, I don't have this thing. I don't have this thing yet. It's not that I'm not there. It's that I'm on my way. I'm just not there yet. So literally write that down. 3 little letters. Yet. Learn the power of yet. I haven't graduated yet. Of course I can do it. I can do anything. You say, well, I don't know anything about carpentry. No. If you want to, you learn one thing, then another thing, then another thing, then another thing. So the correct way to express it is, I don't know anything about carpentry yet. I don't know how to treat addiction yet. I don't know how to deal with my anxiety yet. It does 2 things. It frees up the mind. When you say you can't do something, your brain, because it's a dumb goal-seeking mechanism, says, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, I will get right on that. Your brain's only job is to make you right. If you say you can't do something, it says, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, I'll get right on that. I will make this impossible. I will block out every possible answer. I will rip the motivation out of your body. I will block out any people, any information, any kind of solution that comes near you. I will get rid of it. I will make sure it's impossible for you to do this thing, that you can't do it. But if you say, hey, I can't do this thing yet, all of a sudden, your brain goes from blocking to seeing a future where you are doing this thing. And then it's no longer impossible, which means it's possible. And why did you even say yet? I wouldn't say I can't do that yet unless A, I'm going to do it, it's possible, and C, that's the direction I'm going to go in. So I'm motivated. And your brain says, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, I will get right on that. And it will make it possible. It will look for the solutions in the environment, and it will motivate you to take action towards those solutions and get the goal that you set. Be very careful how you talk to yourself. The way in which you talk to yourself is the way that you program your brain, and then all action flows from that. I'm going to say that again. How you talk to yourself programs your brain, and then all action flows from that. Remember that, write that down, and listen to your thoughts. Your thoughts become things. Not because of the secret, not because they're magical, but for the very reasons I just taught you. Here's a great mindset tip. It's very unique. I want to teach you something called future pacing. How do CEOs and great athletes become so great? Well, they time travel. They see themselves as great in the future. I can remember there was a story about Michael Jordan. They said, wow, he's the best basketball player that ever was. I think the first time he tried out, they didn't let him on the team. And he said, I'm great because I'm a great athlete in terms of practice. Practice, practice, practice. I was never satisfied with my performance. Not in terms of I'm not a good guy and I'm not a good athlete. No, I was satisfied in that way. But I was never satisfied that was absolutely as far as I could go. I love pushing limits. I love throwing that ball one more time. It wasn't I have to do this, I get to do this. Remember that? I saw myself as being the best in the world. Why? Because I would do the work that the failure would not do. It's like bodybuilding. How do you become the best bodybuilder in the world? You are willing to lift longer, harder, stronger, and smarter. It's your only focus in life. That's what Michael Jordan did. He practiced over and over and over again. When everybody else left the gym, he was there for at least another hour, 7 days a week. He didn't outperform them until he out-trained them. But remember, you will always perfectly match with your identity. So to be able to see yourself and have this bright, vivid picture, because a picture's worth what? 1,000 words. That's 1,000 words being ingrained in your mind for every picture of yourself. And pictures have emotion, they have color, they have texture. They're more real to us than just saying, I'm going to be the best, I'm going to be the best, I'm going to be the best. No, you need to see yourself being the best and living the life of the best and getting the benefits of being the best. That's when you can get out there and you can nail it. Now, the future is drawing you towards it. Most people, whether they realize it or not, they have a picture of what their life's going to be like in the future. They have a strong expectation. An interesting piece of psychology, unless you hit Powerball, you're not able to avoid the future that you picture for yourself. You'll become exactly what you think you're going to be. You're constantly doing everything in service of becoming that person in the future. Good, bad, or indifferent. You know why most people succeed or fail? It has a lot to do with their standards, which is another form of future pacing. If I think I can only get to here, plus or minus 5 or 10%, that's where I'll get to. If I think, of course I can get to here, plus or minus 10%, that's where you'll get to. If I think, no way, I could easily get to here. Well, I don't mean easily. I mean, it's going to be a lot of damn hard work, but I can do it. If I do the work, I can't avoid the success. I can easily get up here, plus or minus 10%. Funny thing is, the person that's down here versus the person that's here versus the person that's here, their efforts are almost identical. Everybody's working pretty hard in life. I'd say if you went from the bottom person to the top person's probably working about 20% harder than the person on the bottom, but they're getting 100 times the results. Do you know that actually, well, let me use myself for an example. I'm one of the laziest people you ever want to meet. That's why I'll put so much effort and so much time into learning something, because I know that it'll 10x or 20x my results. I'm too lazy to do it any other way. And people say, geez, Paul says he's kind of lazy, You think he's Tim Ferriss working the 4-hour work week. No, he's working the 104-hour work week. Because he wants to get those results. But A, he enjoys the process. B, that's his image of himself. C, he's going to get there because he can't avoid it. He keeps doing it. And that's his self-image. So he's drawn towards it. And I enjoy the process all the way along because of how I think about it. I get to do this. This is going to lead me to my future self. This is putting positivity in my life. I'm thinking about all the people that I'm helping, even as I'm doing this video. I love this. I'm helping people out there for free. Millions of people. This is the coolest thing you can ever do. I get to do this. I don't have to sit down and do videos. I get to do these videos. I get to share with you. I get to come into your home, come into your phone, be a friend to you. I get to do that. That's an amazing thing. That's a blessing. That's an honor to be able to do that. So, always be moving towards your goal and see yourself as always there. Just like when we talked about getting that 4-year degree, I'll tell you the biggest transformation was when I saw myself graduating and that I had no other alternative. I had cut off every other alternative. That is A, cutting off any other alternative, and B, future pacing. So those are 2 great tips that you can pair together and they become even more powerful. Hey, if you're loving this content, go ahead and like and share below. Go ahead and subscribe to make sure you get all our great content so you see it when it comes out. I'm putting out fresh stuff every single week. And I want you to share this with as many people as humanly possible. My goal is not to make money on this channel. It's to get it out to as many people as humanly possible. I don't judge my success by viewers or how much money I make on this channel. I judge it by the comments, literally. How many people are getting benefit from this? I look at the views not as an ego thing, but as how many people have I served? How many people have I helped? Because over time, the best thing you can ever do in life, and here's a great mindset tip, is your legacy. At some point, you won't care about your ego. You won't care about your toys. They're not, well, I mean, maybe they'll bury you with the toys. They can throw them in the box, but the toys won't matter. What'll matter most is who did I love and who loved me and how many people did I help? The beautiful people around me, and when I'm doing these videos, the beautiful people that I never met, but I know they're out there and I know they're getting benefit from my videos. That is a great mindset piece. That is a legacy piece. Stephen Covey had a great piece on to live, to love, to learn, to leave a legacy. It was the 4 L's. Legacy was the last one. Why? Because it's the most important and it's the one you should remember. Be a good person and help as many people as possible because that will be your legacy. And on your deathbed, when you sum up your entire life, that's what will be most important to you. So go ahead and like and share. Put some comments down below. We'd love to answer your questions. And if you have any specific topics you'd like, hey, throw your vote in the raffle. Maybe we'll make a video on it. Now, here's your final tip. I told you this would be truly life-changing, and it really did change my life. They say the sum of who you are will be down to the fingers on one hand. And I don't even know how many fingers. It could be 1 person, 2 people, 3 people, 4 people, usually no more than 5 people in your entire life that transform your life. So you got to keep good, positive people around you. They say that your health, your wealth, your psychology, those 3 hubs of the wheel, plus or minus 5 or 10%, they will be the average of the 5 most significant people that you hang out with, the people that you spend the most time with, and the people that you take to heart, that you listen to. You'll become the average of those people. You want greater income? Hang out with richer people. You want better psychology? Hang out with people that have a better mindset. You want better health? Hang out with people that are eating healthy, working out, feeding themselves the right things. And I'll tell you another thing. I live in a weird place. It's called Paul Land. And in Paul Land, negativity is a firing offense. I will fire you. I have fired family members and said, you can't be in my life anymore. You're too negative. Get out. I have fired bosses and literally walked off the job. You're too negative and you're not helping me in my life. I could be with the next boss and they'll be great in my life. My wife, my nickname for her is number 37. That's how many girlfriends I fired till I found the right one. I don't have any negative people in my life. If there's a whiner or complainer, I used to leave them to the side. They could come by once in a while, have a beer, we'd laugh, we could talk about stuff. Now I won't waste my life on those people. My life, especially at 61, is my most valuable commodity. I'm now in the time of my life, I don't have to worry about money. I don't have to worry about anything from the neck up. I've had enlightenment. I don't have to worry about my health, except just to maintain it and just enjoy my life. I want no negativity. I don't have any negative coworkers. I don't have any negative friends. I don't hang out with any negative people. I don't hang out with any negative family members. Nothing. And if anybody comes into my life and they're negative, oh my gosh, I dismiss them with prejudice. Get rid of them. So my philosophy is, I'm not going to hang out with negative people anymore. And here's why. Until I can get to every single wonderful person that's out there that could add so much to my life, it's just incredible. I get through all those tens of thousands of people. If I finally got to the last one and I said, what am I going to do with the next year of my life? I have nobody, there's not one more positive person that could help me in my life to hang out with. I guess I'll hang out with some of these jerks. Well, maybe if fill the time I do it, I'll never get there. So I tell myself what I call a useful lie. When I get through with all the positive people, never going to happen, I will then hang out with some of the negative people. That's what I call a useful lie. Only keep positive people in your life. You'll never look back and say, boy, I wish I kept these 5 negative people in my life. And who are you? Who are you at your core if you're hanging out with negative people? Negative people hang out with negative people. Positive people hang out with positive people. Hang out with the people that are going to move you forward. Sometimes they're not even negative people. They're just people that aren't moving fast enough, that are really holding you back. They become an anchor. So there's an old African proverb. It says, it's easier to go in a given direction with 1,000 people that want to go than with one around your neck. Get rid of the anchor people, the people that are slowing you down, and your life will accelerate. My name is Professor Paul. Go ahead, like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in my very next training.